Welcome, gents. True independence isn't about walking alone, it's about knowing why you choose to. Being a Sigma male is often misunderstood. It's not about brooding in the corner or being the loudest rebel in the room. It's about mastering quiet strength, self-reliance, and unapologetic authenticity. It's not a label you slap on yourself to feel superior. It's a way of living that speaks for itself. But here's the thing. Sometimes we trick ourselves into believing we're embodying this archetype when, in reality, we're falling short in ways we don't even realize. And that's okay. Growth starts with awareness. This video isn't about tearing you down. It's about holding up a mirror. You'll discover subtle, surprising signs that may mean you're not quite the Sigma male you think you are. More importantly, you'll learn how to correct course and truly live on your terms. If you're ready for an honest look at yourself and the wisdom to become your best version, stick around. This isn't just a video, it's your wake-up call. Number 1. You crave attention while pretending not to. There's a fine line between claiming you don't care about attention and actually not caring. Many people think they're exuding Sigma-level confidence when they loudly declare their indifference to others' opinions. But here's the catch. If you're secretly watching how people react to you, checking likes, reading into comments, or waiting for validation from the very people you claim to ignore, you're not walking the independent path you think you are. True confidence doesn't need a spotlight. A Sigma male doesn't measure his value by how others respond to him, and he certainly doesn't engage in performative detachment. If you're crafting vague posts, dropping cryptic comments, or trying to be misunderstood in a way that invites intrigue, you're not operating from a place of strength. You're fishing for validation, and deep down you know it. This doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. But being honest about your motivations is the first step toward real growth. Are you genuinely indifferent to how others perceive you, or are you playing a game where you pretend not to care while secretly hoping someone notices? That need for approval betrays insecurity, not independence. A Sigma male's indifference is quiet, natural, and unforced. He doesn't care if the world sees his actions because he's too busy living according to his own standards. If he shares something, it's not to provoke a reaction. It's because it aligns with his purpose. That's the difference between genuine self-assurance and putting on an act. If you catch yourself seeking attention while pretending not to, stop. You can't become truly independent until you stop needing others to validate your independence. The moment you free yourself from that craving is the moment you step into real Sigma territory. Number 2. You misinterpret independence for isolation. Independence and isolation are often confused, but they couldn't be more different. Independence is an active choice, a confident, deliberate way of living that stems from self-assurance and clarity about your path. Isolation, on the other hand, is often a defense mechanism, driven by fear, insecurity, or the belief that the world will reject you before you even step into it. True independence doesn't come from running away from people, situations, or challenges. It's about standing your ground, making decisions that align with your values, and embracing solitude because it allows you to grow, reflect, and recharge. Not because you're hiding from the noise of life. The Sigma male thrives in solitude not because he's avoiding others, but because he's so comfortable with himself that he doesn't rely on external validation. If your time alone feels more like a shield than a sanctuary, you're not practicing independence. You're avoiding connection. It's a hard truth. Rejecting others before they can reject you isn't strength. It's fear masquerading as self-reliance. Being truly independent means you don't fear relationships or judgments. You simply don't depend on them to define your worth. Ask yourself, are you alone because you want to be, or because you don't know how to face rejection, vulnerability, or the possibility of being misunderstood? Independence means engaging with life on your terms, not shrinking from it. If you mistake isolation for independence, you're not embodying strength. You're letting fear guide your choices. A Sigma male walks alone when he chooses, but he can step into any room, any crowd, and remain unapologetically himself. That's the difference. Number 3. You confuse mystery with poor communication skills. There's a big difference between being mysterious and simply being a poor communicator. A lot of people think that staying quiet or holding back in conversations makes them intriguing, but silence only holds power if it comes from a place of purpose and confidence. If you're silent because you don't know what to say, feel unsure, or are afraid of saying the wrong thing, you're not exuding mystery, you're just blending into the background. A Sigma male speaks sparingly, but when he does, it's intentional. His words resonate because they are thoughtful, clear, and timed perfectly. He doesn't speak to fill the air or gain approval. He speaks to contribute meaningfully. That's what creates intrigue. Not silence for the sake of silence, but silence paired with the ability to command attention when it's broken. On the other hand, if your quietness is the result of insecurity or a lack of clarity, it doesn't make you mysterious, it just makes you hard to engage with. People won't lean in to understand you. They'll disengage and move on. Mystery comes from a sense of depth, not from withholding for no reason. Ask yourself, when you stay quiet, is it because you're observing, reflecting, and choosing your moment? Or is it because you're unsure of yourself? True mystery isn't about leaving people guessing because they can't figure you out. It's about giving them just enough to want to know more. If you find your silences leave people confused or frustrated instead of intrigued, it's time to work on your communication. A Sigma male's strength lies in knowing when to speak, how to listen, and how to leave a lasting impression, not in hiding behind an illusion of mystery. Number 4. You mistake contrarianism for original thinking. There's a common misconception that going against the grain automatically makes you unique or independent. But disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing doesn't make you a Sigma male. It might just make you exhausting to be around. True originality isn't about rejecting the crowd at every turn. It's about thinking critically and standing by your conclusions, whether they align with the majority or not. Contrarianism often stems from insecurity, a need to prove that you're different, smarter, or somehow above the norm. But being contrarian without substance is shallow. If you're rejecting ideas, trends, or norms just to appear rebellious, you're not displaying independence. You're performing for attention. It's not bold to reflexively oppose the mainstream, it's predictable. A Sigma male doesn't waste energy rebelling for the sake of rebelling. He evaluates ideas, systems, and social norms based on their merit, not based on who else follows them. If something aligns with his principles, he'll embrace it, regardless of whether it's popular. If it doesn't, he'll quietly walk away without the need to make a scene or criticize others for conforming. Ask yourself, are you rejecting something because it truly conflicts with your values, or are you doing it just to stand out? Original thinking doesn't require constant opposition. It requires clarity, self-awareness, and a willingness to embrace what makes sense, even if it's conventional. When your decisions are rooted in genuine thought rather than reactionary rebellion, you'll stop coming across as contrarian and start radiating quiet confidence. A Sigma male stands apart not because he tries to, but because his choices naturally reflect his independence and depth. That's what sets him apart, not the need to constantly push against the tide. Number 5, you don't command respect in silence. There's a certain power in silence, but not all silence is equal. A true Sigma male can walk into a room and shift the energy without saying a word. His quiet confidence, unshakable self-assurance, and sense of purpose naturally draw attention. It's not something he forces or even seeks. It's simply the effect of someone who knows exactly who they are. But if your silence is met with indifference or goes unnoticed, the issue isn't the silence itself. It's the absence of substance behind it. Silence without presence is just silence. Commanding respect in silence requires more than keeping your mouth shut. It requires depth, confidence, and a sense of purpose that people can sense even without words. If your quiet demeanor doesn't hold weight, ask yourself why. Is it because you're uncomfortable, unsure, or trying too hard to be invisible? Or perhaps it's because you're blending in rather than standing out. True presence comes from within. It's how you carry yourself, how grounded you are, and how intentional your actions are. A Sigma male doesn't need to be the center of attention, but he doesn't shy away from it either. His presence speaks louder than his words, and people naturally take notice. This kind of respect can't be faked or forced. It's earned through self-awareness, emotional strength, and authenticity. If you find that your silence doesn't command attention, it's a sign to work on what's beneath it. Build your confidence, refine your purpose, and show up in the world with intention. When you're truly aligned with yourself, your quiet presence will speak volumes without you needing to utter a single word. Number 6. You chase trends in the name of fitting in. Chasing trends is one of the quickest ways to lose your sense of individuality. If you're constantly looking around to see what's popular so you can jump on the bandwagon, you're not operating independently, you're trying to blend in. A Sigma male doesn't have the time or interest to chase fleeting trends. He's too focused on his own goals, his own path, and living life on his terms. The irony of chasing trends is that it's often disguised as staying relevant, but in reality, it's a sign of insecurity. You're relying on external markers to determine your worth instead of building your identity from within. Whether it's the latest style, a viral topic, or a social media trend, following the crowd makes you part of it. You can't claim to be a lone wolf if your choices are dictated by what everyone else is doing. Sigma males don't set out to be trendsetters, but they often become them because they're authentic. People are drawn to their confidence and individuality. They're not following what's hot. They're doing what feels right to them, and others naturally take notice. That's the difference. Sigma males create their own lane, while trend chasers run after lanes that others have already paved. If you find yourself chasing trends, stop and ask why. Are you afraid of being left out? Do you think being trendy will make you more accepted or respected? These are signs you're seeking external validation, not operating from a place of independence. True strength comes from knowing what works for you and sticking to it, regardless of what's in fashion. The moment you stop chasing what's in and start owning who you are, you'll stop following trends and start making your mark. Number 7. You mistake cynicism for wisdom. Cynicism often disguises itself as wisdom, but the two couldn't be more different. Being skeptical of everything might make you feel like you're seeing through the world's illusions, but in reality it's often a defense mechanism, a way to avoid vulnerability, effort, or deeper engagement. If you dismiss everything outright, not because it lacks merit, but because it's easier than evaluating it honestly, you're not insightful. You're emotionally lazy. A Sigma male doesn't operate from a place of blind distrust or negativity. He's not cynical for the sake of it. Instead, he evaluates situations with a balanced perspective, knowing when to question, when to trust, and when to disengage. He doesn't waste time tearing everything down just to prove a point. He saves his energy for what truly matters. Pure cynicism is a shield, often born out of fear or past disappointments. It feels safer to doubt everything than to risk being wrong, hurt, or let down. But that approach limits your growth and your ability to connect with the world. A Sigma male, on the other hand, sees through illusions, not because he's jaded, but because he's observant and thoughtful. His skepticism is strategic, not habitual. Ask yourself, are you rejecting ideas, opportunities, or people because they genuinely don't align with your values, or because it's easier to assume the worst? True wisdom requires discernment, not automatic dismissal. It means being open to possibility while having the clarity to recognize when something doesn't serve you. If your default setting is cynicism, you're not operating with the nuanced insight of a Sigma. You're stuck in a loop of negativity. To break free, start engaging with life more honestly. Evaluate, question, and decide with purpose, not defensiveness. That's the kind of discernment that sets a Sigma male apart. Number 8, you don't back your independence with action. Claiming to be independent is easy. Living it is where the challenge lies. Many people talk a big game about how self-reliant they are, but if your finances, emotional stability, or mental well-being depend on others, you're not living independently, you're just pretending. A true Sigma male doesn't rely on anyone else to validate his worth or fulfill his needs. He makes decisions that align with his principles, and he follows through on them, regardless of external pressures. Independence isn't just about freedom from others' expectations. It's about being capable of standing on your own in all aspects of life. A Sigma male is financially self-sufficient, emotionally self-aware, and mentally strong. He doesn't need others to rescue him, prop him up, or carry him through tough times. He faces challenges head-on and adapts, because his independence is rooted in his ability to take full responsibility for his life. If you're quick to say you're independent but rely heavily on others for support, whether it's living paycheck to paycheck, constantly needing validation from friends, or leaning on family for emotional stability, you're not walking the walk, you're simply declaring a title without earning it. A Sigma male's independence is earned through action. He builds his life through hard work, self-reflection, and self-sufficiency, not by leaning on others to fill the gaps. True independence is a state of self-sufficiency, not just in the physical sense, but also in your emotional and mental capacity. It's about being able to rely on yourself for everything you need to thrive. So before you claim the title of independent, ask yourself if you're truly living it. If you're not, it's time to start backing up those words with action and build the kind of life that reflects your self-sufficiency. Number 9. You're afraid of rejection. Fear of rejection often holds people back from pursuing what they truly want. The difference between a Sigma male and most others is that a Sigma doesn't fear rejection. He simply doesn't attach his self-worth to whether or not he's accepted. Rejection is a part of life, and it doesn't shake him because he doesn't rely on external validation to define his value. For him, rejection is just another data point, not a reflection of his identity or his worth. If you're constantly avoiding risks or staying within your comfort zone to dodge failure or criticism, you're not walking the Sigma path. You're playing it safe. True independence requires the courage to face rejection head-on, to take risks, and to put yourself out there without worrying about the outcome. When you're too focused on avoiding rejection, you're holding yourself back from growth, opportunity, and real experiences. The Sigma male takes calculated risks, even knowing there's a chance of failure. He doesn't let rejection stop him because he doesn't see it as a reflection of his abilities, but as part of the process. He's not defined by whether others approve of him. He's defined by his own values and goals. If you find yourself afraid of rejection, ask yourself why. Are you letting the opinions of others control your actions? Do you fear failure more than you value growth? True Sigma males embrace rejection as part of the journey, not as a roadblock. If you want to embody this mindset, stop avoiding risks. Rejection isn't something to fear, it's something to learn from. Embrace the discomfort, take the leap, and let go of the need for constant approval. Only then will you start living a life of true independence. Number 10. You're too eager to prove you're different. Trying too hard to prove you're different often has the opposite effect. It makes you look like you're seeking approval rather than truly standing apart. Real individuality doesn't need to be announced. It's self-evident. A Sigma male doesn't go out of his way to showcase his uniqueness because he doesn't need to. It's simply who he is, and people notice without him saying a word. When you're constantly emphasizing how unconventional or nonconformist you are, it often comes across as performative. Whether it's making bold statements, rejecting trends just to seem edgy, or bragging about how you don't fit in, it reveals insecurity rather than confidence. True confidence doesn't come from convincing others you're different, it comes from living authentically, regardless of how others perceive it. Ask yourself this: are you genuinely living on your terms, or are you crafting an image of uniqueness for others to see? Being different isn't about being louder, more rebellious, or more defiant. It's about being true to yourself, even when no one is watching. Sigma males don't reject the mainstream to prove a point. They simply don't follow it if it doesn't align with their values. If you have to work overtime to make people notice how unique you are, you're not being a Sigma, you're being a showman. Ironically, the harder you try to stand out, the more you blend into the crowd of people doing the exact same thing. The truth is, the most compelling individuals don't seek to prove their differences. They just are. If you want to embody the Sigma mindset, stop broadcasting and start living authentically. When you're genuinely yourself, You won't need to prove a thing. Your actions and presence will speak for you. If any of these signs hit close to home, don't get discouraged. Realizing where you might be falling short is the first step to leveling up. You're not a Sigma male because of a label or an image you try to project. It's about how you live, think, and carry yourself in the world. True Sigma males don't need validation. They don't fear rejection, and they don't rely on others for their self-worth. They act on their principles, not their fears. They're self-sufficient, adaptable, and strong enough to walk alone when necessary. But here's the truth. You can get there. The path to embodying a true Sigma mentality starts with taking an honest look at where you're relying on external factors or avoiding challenges. Strength lies in knowing where you need to improve and having the guts to make those changes. Every step you take toward true independence and self-reliance brings you closer to the Sigma mindset. It's not about being perfect or rejecting others. It's about owning who you are with all your flaws and strengths and never letting the world dictate how you should live. So stop chasing validation. Start making choices that align with who you truly want to be, not who you think you should be. Embrace rejection, adapt, and build your independence in action. The Sigma male path is not for the faint of heart, but if you're ready to break free from the need for approval and walk your own way, you'll discover a version of yourself that commands respect. Quietly, confidently, and unapologetically. Keep moving forward and you'll get there. Thank you, gent, for watching. See you in the next video. Bye for now, and God bless.